Hey everybody, welcome back. I just wanted to do a short little follow-up video to the intro to serverless. I wanted to kind of demonstrate how you could call a cloud function locally with a script, send it a JSON packet, and basically interact with that. Now we are still using the same function as before, so this is the hello there function if you don't remember. Basically, again, we're just returning hello world or a message that we're sending it. And let's say that my use case here is that I have a local script that I need to run, and I need to call this cloud function X number of times, maybe with different data values. The cloud server, is just going to handle all the processing of this function. And again, keep in mind, this is scalable from, say, one call to hundreds of calls in parallel. And I just want to call this from a local script on my computer. So what I did was I knocked up a short little Python script to do this. And you can actually start seeing some of my tests that I've been running here on the script. You actually see these graphs kind of picking up a little bit. If we zoom in a wee bit here, we see the number of invocations per second went from nothing, up to, 2.1 per second. So not a lot, but you start seeing the activity go up, right? We start seeing how much execution time it's taking, how much memory it's taking, how many active instances we have in memory at any given time. These are all metrics that you should be paying attention to if you're writing Cloud Functions so that you can see how it is being used. So without further ado, though, let's take a look at this function itself. Now, I have a little Python script here. I'll put it up in the Blackboard channel and I'll link to it on the blog as well if you just want to play around with it a little bit. But all I'm doing is making a call to this function. And again, the purpose was to show you that you don't need cloud services, you don't need the cloud infrastructure if you want to talk to the cloud, right? Put everything up there, but you can still have a local development environment talking to it. So what I've got going on here, and again, this is Python. You can use whatever language you want. It doesn't matter as long as you can talk to a remote server. I've got the multi-processing library being brought in here, so I'm doing some things in parallel. I am importing the request library so that I can basically make a curl command through Python. And then I have a few other things going on here as well. So first up, I've got the trigger URL. So URL equals the link to my cloud function. Again, won't be here afterwards, so don't get too hung up on that. I have a function to make the request, and then I have a main function. If you're not a Python person, that's fine. This is what main looks like in Python. So if underscore underscore name underscore underscore equals main, that's your main in Python. What I have here is a multi-processing statement. So I'm going to spin up 5 processes. So basically these things will be working in parallel, kind of akin to threads in other languages, a little bit different because Python has a different underlying infrastructure. More or less, we're doing things in parallel here. So for these 5 processes I spin up, I basically want to trigger my cloud function 50 times. And I'm going to do that using basically 5 parallel processes at a time. It's going to call this make request function here, and I'm passing in a number from 0 to 40, between 0 and 49, basically. So 50 calls to this function. If you don't know multiprocessing, if you don't understand mapping, that's perfectly fine. It's just a little ham-fisted demo here to do some things in parallel. You could just as easily do this sequentially. All I really want to do, though, is send a request to my cloud function. So I'm going to use the post command, and I'm going to do this so that I can send it a JSON packet. Basically, I want to pass in the message, and if we remember from our actual script, message is one of the parameters that we could send. It could be a query string through get, could be a post object like we're sending through JSON here, or with JSON here. And the message is, hey there, CIS680, and then the number of the process, or sorry, the number of the loop iteration that we're sending in. And I've got some Python 3 type formatting here. If you're familiar with C, it's kind of like your old printf statements in a way. But this brace 0 is just the loop iteration. And then what I'm returning here is the status code of the call and then the content of the call. So basically, I'm triggering this function with effectively a curl command. What is the HTTP status? What is the content? Make sense? So if we go ahead and run this now, it should be a little bit more obvious. So Python Cloud Function Caller. It's going to go take a second, and then we're going to spin up pretty quickly. So we see a status code of 200, meaning everything is good from HTTP's perspective. We get some extra Pythonic formatting here. I use the pretty print library to make this kind of spit out a little bit nicer. Otherwise, you get a big jumbled mess, and I'd have to manually walk through it. But we see from 0 to 49, here is our call. And this is exactly what we're doing here, right? We're passing in the JSON message. That message, again, oops, get rid of spelling. So this is the URL we're triggering. We're sending it a JSON packet. We're sending it a JSON packet with a message attribute. That message is being parsed by the Cloud function and then returning. I can do this exact same thing here if I go to the browser, right? So here's my hello world. I could say message equals hello %20, there %20, CIS680 %20. Have a great day because I'm sick of writing %20s. But again, we can access things locally. We can access it through the browser. I'll make this script available on the course webpage if you're interested. But again, don't feel hung up on having to use the Cloud Shell or having to use something in the cloud if you want to interact with these services. By all means, write a PowerShell script to make a remote call. Write a Ruby gem. Write a Node or a Python or any language you want. As long as you can reach out to the cloud and talk to it in some way, you can send it and send data to it and receive data from it. So that is it for this little quick demo. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop me an email or a message in the Discord channel. Otherwise, good luck with Cloud Functions. Bye-bye.